First, I was getting othered for not putting shit in my arms. Now they're canceling Russians. I'm half Russian. I just can't fucking catch a break. Well, here I am on the truck again. I just got done with my 1 week off. I didn't film during it because I was way busy. But I accomplished a lot on this last home time, so I kind of want to talk about that. First and foremost, alternate day fasting is working, even though my meals have been shitty. I have not been eating keto. I've been eating pretty much whatever I feel like eating. You know, I do try and keep like sugar and refined shit down, and I also favor meat and fat. You know, some of my meals have just been, meat and potatoes, so to speak. A ribeye with, hash browns or mashed potatoes or, stuff like that. But I do indulge, and I have indulged, and I still lost weight. So I was down to 213.8 pounds, which is great, because I thought being out for the month in the truck was going to make me a completely fat fuck, especially when I started to fuck up on the diet. And, I only had a week of ADF, towards the end of that month. This is now week 2 of ADF that I'm on. And it's become very easy, very routine. So I'm going to keep pressing on with this experiment, to see how much I lose, if I maintain, if I gain. Just kind of eating what I want on my feed days. Within reason. I'm not going to get a dozen donuts and wash them down with a Mountain Dew or anything stupid like that. So you might be saying right about now, what about your health, dickhead? Weren't you worried about blood pressure and shit? Well, I had 2 fucking physicals during my home time. I spent most of my home time doing medical shit. I don't know the results of my labs yet. That's going to come in the mail, I think. I might have to follow up with a phone call on that. But I'm still waiting on that. But they did address the blood pressure issue. And the verdict is I've gone from failing to borderline. I am considered borderline, and that was my doctor that told me that. He also wanted to, jam some shit in my ass like a camera because, prevention of colon cancer and shit. I, of course, said, nah, I'll just take my chances. I don't want you to play with my shit. I don't want to have to shit on shit and then bring shit to you so that you can look at my shit and play with my shit or whatever the fuck it is Big Pharma does with your shit. All on the percentage chance that I might have colon cancer and have to, be checked into the medical fucking hamster wheel that way. I just feel like they just want to rope you into the hamster wheel, and even though it might be a bad idea, it might be a bad decision for me to ignore pre-screening and all of these checkups. The only reason I did the physical was for the blood pressure issue. And I did get a letter from my doctor saying, yeah, just fucking work on your diet, lose some weight was big on the list. And I said, well, I'm already working on that. And lower your salt and your stress. And he said he wasn't ready to put me on meds. And that is why I like my doctor right now. The fact that he did that scored points with me. Because he could have easily just said, well, here's some blood pressure pills. Here you go. Yeah, take them. Don't worry about all this other shit. But instead, he pushed lifestyle, he pushed diet, and I think he knows I'm very conscious of these things, so maybe that's why. And the other mind-blowing aspect of this doctor's visit is, other than when you're going through the checkpoint, in the beginning that has like 7 motherfuckers lined up to make sure you don't have the coof and to make sure that you're wearing a mask, because you still have to wear a mask in medical facilities in New York State. Well, I think that's everywhere. That'll probably be the last place to demask, aside from schools, apparently. But that being said, there was no pressure for in fact, they asked me about getting the flu jab, and they didn't say anything about the coof at all. They didn't try and sound. It wasn't like when the ER visit, and I was armed and ready as far as, with arguments, because, when you're talking to your doctor, you generally have a more in-depth conversation than you would with some random, doctor, resident, or whatever that's in the fucking ER. So I basically, everything else was fine. I'm a little fatter than I was in the 3 years. He gave me a lot of shit for spending not going to the hospital for 3 years because you're supposed to go every year to maintain your VA health coverage. And I took 3 years off, but I knew full well that they'd take me back because they want you in that hamster wheel. They can, even though you might not be paying directly, or maybe you're just paying a small co-pay as a veteran, it's still taxpayer money that gets budgeted for you and gets allocated to there, and then of course gets allocated to Big Pharma, who definitely has their hands in the VA medical system. So, overall, good to go there. So that gave me a big, thumbs up to get my DOT physical done, which is what enables me to drive this truck. And it didn't go quite as smoothly, but I don't know. I'm on the fence. Maybe my blood pressure is still fucked up a little, or it's still borderline, or maybe this person didn't know how to measure it properly, because every other place I went, it was measured fine. Like, not great, borderline, as I said, according to my other doctor, but not failing for DOT standards. Well, the first time she took it, and I noted this time she had the automatic one, and I actually didn't do well on the automatic one. I had 95 was my bottom number on the automatic one. So then she had me lay down and she did it manually. So I'm like, well, she failed me manually last time. This must be it. This will be the end of my trucking career. Because essentially I was up against the ropes with New York State. If I would not have passed, I would not have gotten my certification, and then New York State would have took away my CDL, because that's just the world we live in now. As it stands, she gave me 2 years, but it wasn't just like in a vacuum. I was sitting there campaigning that I'm working on it. I'm doing alternate day fasting. I've losing weight. She noticed that I lost weight from the last time. I'm taking care of my health as best as I can out here. I didn't tell her I was doing standard American diet type shit on this 1 month experiment, but that being said, I will still lose weight in the long term. So I believe weight loss, getting it back down to the 190s, will also normalize my blood pressure, at the very least keep it under the DOT threshold. Keeping in mind that a while back they decided to lower the standards for hypertension so that they could get more pills onto the general public. But that's my tinfoil hat shit right there. Don't make any medical decisions based on some dumb shit I just said. So there's that. But good news is my plan is intact. I'm no longer worried about my future in this career. I've got another 2 years, assuming I don't fuck up and crash the truck or do anything stupid like that. But I still have another 2 years to work on my semi-retirement business model, which is go out in the truck, pedal to the metal, balls to the wall, 70-hour weeks, pile up that cash, invest in Bitcoin, upgrade anything I want to upgrade, buy anything I want to buy that will last me a while, that holds some value that I could sell later, that kind of stuff. It's like a diversification of my assets. And generally then take large chunks of time off And right now I'm leaning back towards, I don't know if you remember the casual driving, where this company has a casual driving program where you can, as long as you come in once every 30 days and do some runs. I, of course, tend to like to go out for 2-3 weeks if I do that. So basically, I'm probably going to look at a 1 month on, 1 month off type of casual situation, or maybe 3 weeks on, 1 month off. Probably that. That sounds a lot more reasonable. It'll give me more than enough money to cover the month off, and just kind of go from there. But for the first year, I plan on being an over-the-road nomad. You know, pretty much full-time out here, taking my home times in New York just so I can maintain some of my friendships and also check on my mother and make sure she's doing all right. She's okay for now. She's got some edible nature things to take care of her pain, and those seem to be working for when the opioids run out. So, you know, things are going well there. And, you know, it's not going to be forever that I'm able to be out here, because when her health does get to the point where she can't take care of herself, I'm going to have to because I'm not going to put her in a nursing home. I mean, nursing homes are shitholes in New York, you know, as we've seen in the last 2 years especially. I'm not going to put her through that. You know, if she wants to stay home and stay with her cats and do all of that stuff, I'm going to make sure she can do that. Even if it means sacrificing some of my freedom and my lifestyle and privacy to do so. So, but for now, she's good enough. I've, you know, where I can do this for at least a year, maybe even 2, confidently, hopefully. But that could change. You never know. Some people's health deteriorates rapidly and on a dime. And she's not taking care of the diabetes anymore, so who knows, you know, who knows how that could work out. She's eating what she wants. And, you know, when you're bumping into 70, I guess, you know, I can't confidently say, I can't even fucking maintain my shit in my 40s, especially with the world the way it is right now. You know, what does it matter if I'm gonna live an extra 10 years when the fucking nukes fall on our heads, you know? I mean, there could be a strong argument made that, you know, long term taking care of your health might not even fucking matter because of the situation that's unfolding right now and the stupidity surrounding that. So, you know, that's one thing that's resolved. I was starting to worry just how well things were going for me during this time off. I reconnected with a few friends because I went to Singers. Now, there are some people at Singers who still want nothing to do with me, and okay, you do you, I'll do me. But I went to Singers because there are some people who had nothing to do with anything that transpired, that, you know, aren't judging me, aren't doing, you know, they're just like having me around and bullshit, and so I went and did that, you know, and I didn't drink. I am still sober as fuck. It's been over 2 months now. Last time I drank was December 26th. So yeah, just over 2 months of complete sobriety, not a drop. So, and I plan on continuing that trend, especially out here on the road. You know, there's no reason for me to drink. I think, given my blood pressure situation, the last thing I should be doing is fattening up my liver with alcohol, plus all the other problems that come along with excess alcohol consumption. Assuming the nukes don't drop. You know, I mean, if I lived life like every day's the last day, then my health could go to shit really quick. And I'd like to still have a shot, if the shit doesn't hit the fan, of being able to have my parachute. I felt so kind of, I wouldn't call it anxiety, because I was able to come up with alternate plans, you know, with the gig economy and all of the shit I was going to do if I couldn't hop in the truck. But I didn't like not having the option. Just having that parachute in your pocket, that CDL, can rectify so many problems that you can encounter in your life. Losing your house or can't afford rent. Well, guess what? You can come out here and live in this fucking thing and save a shit ton of money. And if you get sick of living in this thing, you've got enough money you could go to an Airbnb or a hotel. I don't really have to do that if I go to New York, but if I go anywhere else, I'll probably splurge on a hotel room or an Airbnb just to kind of break up the nomad lifestyle a little bit. Look at it as like a vacation-y thing here and there, But overall, having that option alleviates financial pressure, alleviates lifestyle, alleviates, believe it or not, inflation. My purchasing power as a truck driver is unchanged, which sucks because I am getting paid a lot more than I used to. Even in 2020, it's gone up by about, I'd say, close to 10% what I get per mile. And that still doesn't buy me anything more than last time, which means my job is keeping pace with inflation, largely due to the trucking shortage. That's a good thing. I like that not only am I taking steps financially by diversifying where my money sits, whether it's sitting in Bitcoin, whether I'm buying hard assets with it, things that I can make money with, things that will have a return on investment. And then I have actually splurged on a few things, but I do plan on making money with it. So like I bought this. This is the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus because I wanted, my laptop's very power hungry, and I was using it to look at the internet and watch shit. So I decided I needed a solution that doesn't drain my power pack as easily, and I'm also forward thinking to times when I was living out of the Prius. I need to have much more compact ways of doing stuff on the internet, of playing games, of making music. Now, so far, the only thing I can't do with this tablet is make my music, at least not easily. There are music apps, but it's just not the same. And it doesn't have anywhere near the technology of a Ableton or any of that. So, I'm able to do all of this. I'm setting up myself up to be able to do the trucking nomad thing comfortably and have all of the shit I would have in a home, essentially. And other than not having a drum kit to fuck around on, which I barely played anyway, I might actually sell that eventually. Just because, it seemed cool in theory to learn to drum, but I just didn't put the time into it. And it's fun, it's good exercise. But ultimately, I'm mainly finger drumming when I make my music. So, there's some things that I might have to sell off just because I'm gonna be more nomadic. I don't want to sell my other synth. That's nice to have when you have a home base, but I can't obviously haul it in the Prius, and I definitely can't haul it. Well, I could, and you saw before I used to haul it around, but I don't feel like fucking doing that anymore. I'm perfectly happy with a MIDI controller, in my laptop for music making. I am still working on audio solutions because I can't bring my full monitors out here. I got way sidetracked. Sorry. This video's all over the place. But it's good to, stop in the sidetrackedness. It's good to be out here without worrying that it's only temporary, that I have to cram as much productivity as I can into a 3-month period, because now I have the 2 years, which is pretty much like normal. So, yeah. Things are going fucking good for a change. I can get on here and not worry about anything except the thing that we're all supposed to be worried about right now. And I loathe to talk about it because of how uninformed we all are. I'm not any more informed than you are. I don't care how much CNN or how much Fox News or how much, and even NTD News to a degree, although I am finding they're covering both sides. You got to keep in mind that when there's a shooting war going on, there is also another information war that goes on. So both sides are going to put out propaganda that makes their side look good. But that's not even the big issue, other than the fuel prices are skyrocketing and the fact that we might get nuked at any fucking time if we don't stop being stupid, which I'm not confident is on our agenda. What is really bothering me about this is the same people who virtue signaled about the coup have now completely latched on to the Ukraine-Russia conflict. And now they have decided to cancel everything Russian. From a vodka that was made here in the United States, just because it might be mistaken for being Russian. I imagine there's going to be lots of othering of Russian people who have nothing to do with this conflict, especially if they're in this country and they have an accent. There'll be some stupid virtue signal and cancel and shit there. We are definitely putting a lot of economic pressure, not so much on Putin because he's got access to, a big customer who's going to keep buying from him, which is China. I'm pretty sure he prepared for this. Now, maybe not for all the corporations locking him up like they are. But hey, when you're fighting against the New World Order, I guess that's just the consequence of it, is you gotta expect that you're gonna get fucking canceled. But what I didn't expect is people punishing, like there's video game companies pulling video games out of Russia. So, you're punishing kids now, or, arguably grown-ups that are gamers and shit over there. And I know Russia has a big gaming community. But still, that's just one example. Everything, like their banks are getting taken down, their ATMs, their debts are getting fucking junked. They're going to essentially starve financially the Russian people. And I think the thinking behind it, and it's kind of naive and stupid thinking, is that this will cause the people, who some of whom were already protesting and got locked up for protesting against Putin, but that could be propaganda too, I don't know. All that does is make them suffer. It doesn't really make, even though they're taking a yacht here and there, it doesn't really make the people waging the war suffer. The government doesn't do anything to them. You can't forget that the government has almost complete control over their people. So it's you're really just punishing the people. Think of like the average North Korean, that's just trying to live their life. They're in poverty, they're suffering, they're starving, and they're being oppressed by their government. You got to separate the people from the government. Same thing for China. The CCP doesn't equal China. And if you're going to condemn anybody who's Chinese, which would be labeled, would be labeled a certain thing. You're not being diverse in that case. If you were to do that, if you were to do it with China, what you're doing with Russia, you get labeled a certain way. But yeah, we're doing it to Russian citizens who, quite honestly, they don't have the power or the will to stand up to their government, and they won't. It's just not going to happen. Anybody that speaks up over there is going to get locked up. Same thing for China. which we've seen plenty. So punishing the people, I think, is not going to have the effect of them rising up and taking Putin off the throne. I think punishing the people will create more enemies than friends. Because it gives him the platform to say, hey, look, the evil West is doing this to you. And if you look throughout history, at times when you've starved populations, that did not breed, adoration for the person levying the sanctions on the people. So I think we should have left it at some of the government sanctions. I think these corporations all stepping in to say, look, we are blah, and it just is snowballed into this big virtue signaling clusterfuck of cancellation that is going to hurt and possibly have mortal effects to innocent people. And to virtue signal like that and then not take that into account is pretty hypocritical in my book. Now, where do I side? I am not for Russia in any way in this scenario. They should not have invaded. There was plenty of diplomatic options and skullduggery that they've been doing for years that they could have continued to do. But instead, Putin threw a tantrum and sent troops in. Just because he was being out-corrupted by our government, and we're not happy about our government doing this shit either. I've been bitching for how long now? So, and it's getting crazy, and I don't want anything to do with any of it, to be honest with you. I let them fight it out as long as the bombs aren't falling, as long as we can still live a semi-normal life out here. I'd like to get back to that. I don't want to spend the next 10 years of this conflict. And that's a small estimate. In economic turmoil. I'm tired of crises and emergencies. I mean, aren't we done yet? Can we stop fucking everything up? For a change, just stop fucking it up. We just got done. Everything's getting normal with the coup. 75% of motherfuckers in New York aren't wearing their fucking shit on their face anymore. It's great. There's no more businesses that are doing stupid shit. When I came back from the road after when I left, it was a complete 180 from, the New York I left when I got back a month later. And they had lifted the restrictions. There are still those who are still scared and doing things that make no sense, like constantly wearing the face covering after years of saying that if you didn't wear they're wearing it to protect you, but, they're really wearing it because they think it protects them, or maybe they just don't want to let go of the coup. Some people, it became a defining... they were able to virtue signal about something for a change. Well, now that's what Ukraine is becoming. And it's very disingenuous. A lot of the people that are doing this shit don't know their ass from a hole in the wall when it comes to conflict and war. They're all just taking sound bites from TikTok or from fucking the news and regurgitating them in some strange way while armchair fucking quarterbacking the combat and the war. But at the end of the day, none of them knows shit. If you're not there on the ground, personally experiencing it, you have no fucking idea what's going on over there. And no, don't give me that we saw footage shit. Footage can be, you can film something in a way that tells a completely different story. I know this because I went to film school. Where you point the camera, when you point the camera, the lens you use, the angle you point it at, and what you plan or script that goes on in front of the camera can tell a story. It's not necessarily telling you the fucking reality of it. And all mainstream media knows how to do this, and so does all alternative media. Right now, all of these media companies are raking in billions of dollars with a fucking B on this conflict and doing all of this canceling instead of donating money to refugees. There's tons of refugees. If you are that virtuous, why don't you fucking help them? Why don't you, set up some housing for them? Get them some food, get them some, some stuff. They're displaced. You need to help them. Do that. Don't sit here and cancel civilians on either side. I don't care what side you're on. These are two governments fighting it out. And, I feel for Ukraine. They're suffering, and I hope they win. If I wanted somebody to win in this war, it would be Ukraine. I would like to see them win. I don't know that they can, to be honest with you, given the strength of Russia's military versus Ukraine. And a lot of people are now beating the war drums because of that. They want us to go in. I hear call after call for NATO to join this conflict. And I don't think anyone realizes what it would mean if we did that. First of all, if we did that, China almost certainly would make their move. And it would become a world war. Do you really want a world war? Because world wars don't really have rules or limits. And if you think because we're here and we don't see it in the mainland of the United States, if this becomes a global conflict, make no mistake, we will see something happen in this country. That's my opinion. And because of that very fact, I think we've already done more than we should be doing as a country, and definitely more than our fair share as NATO, because as you know, not everybody in NATO has been paying their bills. We've been paying a lot of NATO's bills. And Ukraine is not a member of NATO. They have not financially funded NATO. They have not participated in NATO. It is a country of corrupt oligarchs. We had a corrupt oligarch in there, and Putin's corrupt oligarch got booted out of there. So now, because of that, Putin has very insanely decided to invade Ukraine. It's really this simple, and take it by force. So I hope he gets his ass kicked. I know it's not going as smoothly, or it would already be over, as Putin probably hoped. And my heart goes out to the people on the ground, particularly the people that, so many people I saw in the beginning of this, granted, could be propaganda as well, were just caught completely off guard by the full invasion. Like, they were so used to living a peaceful life the way you and I do here in the United States. We're just going about our lives. We go home at the end of the day. Well, some of us bring our home around the country. And we just live our lives. And that's what I think ultimately, that the civilians on both sides just want to live their lives. But because some rich, corrupt oligarchs and politicians want their little fucking bits of power, all of these civilians on both sides are going to suffer. Now, the Ukrainians are going to suffer more in terms of casualties than the Russian civilians will. But make no mistake, the Russian civilians are going to be the slow, painful suffering of the economic landslide that's landing on that country right now. And we're being so cruel and judgmental of civilians all around the globe, that had nothing to do with what Putin did, and are just on the sidelines the way we all are on the sidelines, aside from when you put your debit card into the pump, So that's my thoughts on this. I know I haven't spoken on it that much, and I thought I'd throw it into this video just because it makes me disappointed, and it makes me worried that we've achieved this level of stupidity in corporations, media, and our government here. I'm not seeing anything that's making me hopeful. And I do think this is going to become World War III. I think that's what if I had to connect all the dots lead to World War III and possibly nuclear conflict. And the fact that we're closer now than probably the Cuban Missile Crisis to nuclear annihilation should be sobering, but I don't even think our modern generation is even taking that into account, as they continue to make things worse than they should be with this conflict by, just shut the fuck up and let the two sides work it out. That's my view on it. If you don't live there, you don't have relatives there, I guess I'm kind of isolationist in that respect. I don't want the United States to be the world police, because we've done more harm than good in my book in that department. I think we need to work on things here. We need to get things good to go here. We got the trucker convoy rolling across, and who knows what kind of disaster that's going to be. They've not arrived at D.C. yet. I heard they're I forget where they were at. I think it was Ohio or Pennsylvania. It might be Ohio, which I'm about to go into Ohio, but I'm north of where they're at. So we've got problems here. We got to get our own house in order, and we are no longer in the position that we were in to where we could be the world police. So, maybe we should knock that shit off. But what the fuck do I know? I'm not an expert. I'm just an asshole. I'm heading to Ohio, then down to Mississippi. And then I'm only staying out 2 weeks this time because I got somewhere to be back in New York. So I'm going to set my home time up. And then I'll come back to New York for 3 days. And then I'll probably do 1 month on 1 week off after that. With most of those being in New York. I probably will get itchy feet to do something vacation-y at some point. But for now, that's my plan. Continuing with alternate day fasting, I'm still eating what I want. Next home time, I'll have the 1 month results of that, along with, if I show a 3 to 5 pound weight loss for the month, or even an 8 pound weight loss, some have reported, that's good enough for me. If I can keep that going for a while, I'll do that until it stops working, and then I'll switch to a more keto or low carb approach on my feed days, and maybe even switch from fat fasting, which, as you know, I'm doing fat in my coffee on the fast days, but it's working. A lot of people like to say, well, if you put fat in your coffee, and when, according to my 5-day fat fast that I've done, you can lose 1 pound a day, which tells me A, your insulin's not spiking with heavy cream, and I've tested it thoroughly multiple times now, and B, it's almost identical to a water fast. So and I already know I'm testing strong for ketones, and ironically, even though I had carbs on my feed day before the fast day, I went in the morning for my physical and still pissed plenty of ketones, because she commented on it again. So I was in ketosis in spite, maybe I'm going to be metabolically flexible as a result of this. Still want to see my blood work, which will tell me the complete story. And I'll let you know when I get those results. So that's it for this video. I do plan on using this to try and do some live streams. I've upgraded my data quite a bit. So I've got 100 gigs of hotspot every month now, which I'll use to try and upload videos a bit more. But I want to try and see if I can stream with just this. So coming soon, probably maybe even this weekend at some point, I'll do a live stream with this tablet and see if it works. Shit. Have a nice motherfucking day and shit. And quit virtue signaling. Virtue signaling is going to get us in so much fucking shit. we're going to get fucking nuked because motherfuckers want to stand tall and be proud and say that they're doing this to fight Putin when all they're doing is going on Twitter and talking shit. Well, you know what? Last I checked, no one talking shit on Twitter has ever solved anything. There's been nothing good that's come out of posting a big picture of yourself with whatever virtue signal shit that has solved anything. All it's ever done is created more fucking shit storms. Stop it. Just fucking stop it. You could stop it, right? Because they're being stupid. Stop being stupid and shit.